This is the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller. This week we'll hit the gridiron to kick off the show with second-ranked West Fargo Sheyenne and head coach of the Mustangs, Jeremy Newton, as Sheyenne is 6-1 on the season with games against Bismarck High and Mandan to close out the regular season in North Dakota Class 3A football. We'll also be joined by DelaBarre from LaMoure-Litchville, Marion, and we'll hear from Gunnar Thielges as well, who's been their Swiss Army knife so far this year. The Lobos close out the regular season with a very important home game against YLE on Friday night. Winner clinches a home playoff spot in the 9-man playoffs. Also, Grace Bathurst of the Moorhead Spuds volleyball program is our senior spotlight this week, as she had to overcome an injury from last season to get back on the court this year. We'll hear from Grace a little bit later on in the program. And we'll also sit down with Alyssa Macy, first-year head coach for the Fosston Greyhounds volleyball team, and we'll chat with Megan Johnson from Lisbon volleyball and their senior Kyra Haecherl as well. But first, let's dive into the show with our first coach, that is Jeremy Newton from West Fargo Sheyenne. As we turn our attention now to North Dakota Class 3A football, joining us from the West Fargo Sheyenne Mustangs, that is head coach Jeremy Newton, as the Mustangs are 6-1 on the season with games against Bismarck and Mandan to close off the year. Jeremy, first things first, let's talk about the record. A nice win a couple weeks ago against Moorhead High. You were able to back it up here, a 3-game winning streak after falling short to Fargo Shanley. Just to this point of the season where you're at, Coach, how have you liked the quality makeup of your team so far, 7 games in, Jeremy?
I think we're pretty happy. Our schedule right now in that 3A is really tough. So if you can come out even above 500, I think you're in great shape. So I like where we're at right now.
And it's not going to get any easier the last 2 games of the regular season here with Bismarck High. They've been obviously playing ultimately well, just came up 3 points lost against Moorhead High. And then you got Mandan, which is always a challenging team when you go up against the Braves here, especially on a short week next week. So last 2 games of the regular season, we'll start things off with Bismarck. What's going to be a challenge with Bismarck High, and have they matched or look like someone that you played this season here, Jeremy?
No, I think they're kind of unique in the fact that they're, kind of an old school power running game. They're huge up front, and they're just very well coached, so they're always tough. So, and now they have, last couple of years, they've been down a little bit. Now they have a lot of big, strong kids, and they're going to be very difficult to stop.
Take us through it a little bit, the different offenses that you're seeing. I kind of remember the wing T formation, or it was, wishbone. You go back in the day, the full house backfields. Now you're seeing everything from a spread to maybe an inverted veer a little bit, to power football, as you mentioned here, to something a little bit different with Davies with their kind of shotgun wing T. For a coach, Jeremy, how many nightmares, how many late nights do you get now going up against different styles of offense every week?
Yeah, every week has a new challenge, and everyone's talented and everyone's well coached. It seems like 3A right now is just kind of has it going on. So it's very difficult, but it's a super fun, and it's always fun to be able to change up your schemes and figure out how to stop these teams.
Before we talk about some of your players here, Jeremy, ultimately the last 2 weeks of the regular season, QRF rankings again are to determine where the seed lines are for you guys. But what do you want to see from your team here to close out the regular season?
We just want to keep moving forward. I think we've done a pretty good job of improving every game, and we're not really concerned. Obviously it's nice to have wins, but just to be able to improve and take care of ourselves so that we're right by the time playoffs start.
Taking a look down, I look at some guys, and I know talking with some of the folks who covered the Moorhead High West Fargo Sheyenne game, they said, Caleb Deere literally just came off the page, and the performance that he was able to have, you look at what he's provided. I could talk to you about a number of your seniors here this season. They're making plays in different levels and different phases of the football game here, Jeremy. But let's start with Caleb. What does he bring to this year's team?
He's really fast. He's a good leader, and he's a big target for us to hit. And he's made the transition to receiver very, very well. And he's something that defenses have to prepare for.
And now we're starting to see Barry, and a lot of people remember Barika, seeing him play now at NDSU, getting the opportunity. Here comes Barry. So how similar or how different is Barry's style of running and with the football compared to maybe a Barika here, Coach? How do you look at it?
You can see similarities between the two of them. Barry's not quite as big, but he's very explosive, and hopefully we can get him out to the second level a little more often.
And when you go from there to now Mr. Wilson, a guy that continues to play well here, what have you seen from his performance so far this year?
Well, he's a two-way player for us, so he never leaves the field, which is difficult for him. But he brings it every chance he can get, and he plays extremely hard, and we really love what he brings for us.
You mentioned a little bit there, Jeremy, with two-way player. How much do you see that in 3A football? I know a lot of people will talk about 9-man, Class A, AA. You might see a little bit more there just with the size of teams. But in 3A, not to say that it's never a taboo that you don't see it, but it seems like you have enough athletes to fill the roster spot. How much do you see two-way players, whether it's on your team or when you're scouting teams throughout the season?
It's not as often, but definitely there are some, and not all but there's some studs that just need to be on the field, and that's just kind of what you have to do. And they stand out, and even if they get tired, they're still, as good or better than anyone you got against them. So.
And then on the defensive side here, it seems like two guys who are making a bunch of plays for you. Carson Wilkie, a senior, Noah Olson as well, kind of leading your team in tackles. What do those two bring to the defensive side of the football this year?
They run very well, and I think that's the biggest strength that they get. They cover sideline to sideline, and they're seniors, so they know what's going on in the game. But I think for them, the speed and how well they can get to the football helps them a lot.
7 games through, what's a trait? What's a couple of words, a sentence or two that comes to mind that best describes to this point, Jeremy, the 2023 version of Mustangs football?
That's a great question. I think we're pretty resilient, and we face some adversity. We've had a lot of close games, so we're kind of battle tested, and I just like where we're at going forward right now.
And final thing for me, Coach, when you get to October, how does it change from, August with the week or two of preparation that you have from the first game to where it's, 85, 90 degrees humid? It's probably felt like that more times than not in football. You finally got a little coolness in the air last Friday. It looks like it'll be, 40s, 50s throughout the next couple of games. But from a coaching perspective, what changes, week to week or month to month once you get to this point of the season, knowing where you're at playing for playoff positioning? The playoffs are around the corner, but you still got 2 big games left to finish off here in the regular season.
I think it's, just knowing what you have going forward. You tweak things and you try to make them better, but at the same time, you got to dance with the girl that brought you there, as they say. So we're trying to just make sure that we keep our fundamentals down while we don't change too much going forward, and just keep plugging away.
Jeremy, as always, I appreciate the time. Best of luck coming up against BHS and Mandan next weekend throughout the rest of this season.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Hillsborough Economic Development Committee provides information and support for small businesses. Experience Hillsborough. More at 104.
Coach DelaBarre, coming into this year, I bet you probably had community members, media members saying, Coach, you lost 8 seniors. That team, or those guys, carried your team the last 2 or 3 years, to the heights that this program has seen. Talk to me about how fun it's been just to coach this group of guys up that maybe didn't contribute as much as those guys did in years past, and what they've done from the first day of practice in August to tonight.
Yeah, there's a lot to digest there, because we have come a long way from day one, and that was early on the talk of, well, you guys will be good, but how good? And I think this team is really showing that how much they've grown from, again, fall camp until going into week 9 here next week. So we're a team that's green and growing, and we're kind of really running with that here now as our motto. We're not peaking yet. We're just going to keep getting better.
All right, talk to me about your defensive linemen. You guys line up 2 defensive linemen. You kind of it looks like, hey, if you guys can absorb those front 3 or 4 guys that they put up front, our defense is extremely multiple. We can do a lot. Talk to me about those 2 guys, along with having Muslin in the back, just being able to clean everything up.
Yeah, that's a really important part of our defense. Ryder and Tucker, they've done a phenomenal job this season. Again, filling both roles that were last year were some pretty big dudes, and so they're doing an awesome job. They're physical, they're fast, they got good hands, and that's another big part of that defensive line spot. And it's trust. It's our defense is trusting each other and everyone's responsibilities and their alignments, and having Max back there being able to cover a lot of ground like he does. It makes you feel a lot better as a defense coach.
Okay, next week you got the 2 seed on the line when you go to play YLE-Litchville. The challenges of facing a Coach Stringy coach team, along with the pressure that you have knowing that if you get this win, you get a home game to open up playoffs.
Well, I know Coach Stringy and I, we both saw that our game and probably circled it on the schedule. We enjoy playing each other. It's a fun atmosphere. It's a fun game. The kids are really bought into the rivalry. I think that's been built, and both teams are going to know what's on the line, and it's going to be a fun game. We're sure they're going to be fired up, ready to play, and I know they will too.
All right, congratulations on the win, and good luck next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go right into Gunnar here. Gunnar, you had almost 400 yards of total offense tonight. As I was watching you play for the first time this year, I was racking my brain trying to figure out a comp in the NFL that you kind of remind me of. I can't think of one. So when you watch football, what player do you try to replicate on the field?
Taysom Hill. I'm a big Saints guy. Oh. Taysom Hill, he's kind of a do-it-all guy, kind of like me, but I just go out there, try and do what's best for the team and get a win.
Hey, that was a great one. I couldn't come up with one. I was thinking maybe Christian McCaffrey with, you've caught a touchdown, you thrown for a touchdown, you ran for a touchdown. Your offensive line created gigantic seams for you all game long. Just talk to me a little bit about what it's like playing behind that guy.
Yeah, they're not the biggest line, but they're tough, and they can move bodies if they stay low. Yeah, the holes are wide open tonight. Made it easy for my job. I just had to break a couple tackles and off to the races.
I'm going to ask the same question that I asked your coach. Next week, you got YLE-Litchville. You got a home playoff game on the line. What is it that Coach DelaBarre you think is going to stress all week long to you guys going into a big matchup with the Warbirds?
I think tackling. We missed a couple tackles on kickoffs. If we wrap up and tackled them to the ground on the first guy, I think we'll be fine.
All right, congratulations. Great game and good luck next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, president at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsborough location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsborough, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsborough and see why there's more at 104.
We transition now to the volleyball court for the last couple of interviews for this week's program. Joining us now is Grace Bathurst from the Moorhead Spuds volleyball program for our senior spotlight. As we go now to the volleyball court here for our senior spotlight, with us is a Moorhead Spud. That is Grace Bathurst here. And a Grace, for you as a senior, the month and a half of the season so far has kind of gone through. How would you assess your team's play so far as you kind of get ready for that section tournament time, which is coming up really soon maybe than what you thought, back in Labor Day weekend when you had 2 full months plus some change. So how's everything been going for your team here so far, Grace?
I think physically we're a pretty good team this year, so it's been really good to see that we are capable of beating these teams and everything. But I think mentally we just have a little bit of growth to be done so far. But I think we're doing a pretty good job at coming over those roadblocks and getting through that this season.
Talking with Coach Fugelberg here just a few weeks ago, she mentioned, the alumni match that was coming up on a Saturday over a weekend against Sauk Rapids Rice. And she mentioned how, it's always fun to bring those fellow alumni. Herself, she's an alum of the Moorhead Spuds as well, being a player now coach. So how fun was it to compete in that atmosphere and maybe talk with some, former Moorhead Spuds that have been in your shoes, 5, 10 or plus, years removed from their time as a Moorhead Spud player here, Grace?
It was definitely really fun to see everyone there and have that competitive spirit as everyone was bringing it with them, and just get to see everyone who worked for the program as well and played for the program. So it was definitely a fun atmosphere to be in.
And there's always a story to be told. Your story maybe wasn't what you wanted, but at the end of the day, you're still able to have an opportunity to play volleyball after going through an injury again with the ACL, MCL, and the meniscus. We were kind of joking, saying you really hit the trifecta, but at that point, that's not what your mind is going through, Grace. So what was your mind going through once the injury happened, and when you kind of knew, okay, how long is it going to take for you to kind of have rehab and come back? What was it from your point of view, at that point to bring you to where you are now, playing on the volleyball court here this season?
I was definitely scared that I wasn't going to be able to play at the same level that I was at before, but it gave me a new appreciation for the sport of like getting to play and realizing that I can't take that for granted. So I don't know, just the injury itself was definitely a bad thing to go through, but afterwards it gave me much more appreciation for the sport and everything.
What was the toughest thing through rehab? If someone's in your shoes or is going to be in your shoes with that particular injury, we see it happen, in any type of sport at any type of level. But what was the most challenging thing through your rehab during that time, Grace?
Definitely getting over the mental aspect of it. It was physically your body could do everything and like your doctors were telling you could do it. But mentally you just had those blocks up that you were like, I don't know if I can do it. So getting through those was definitely the hardest part.
And now the nice thing is you're on the volleyball court here. So for that point of view, when you got on the practice court, when you got to play in your first match, did you kind of feel like, okay, everything that you were looking to accomplish, even though you still have more stuff in front of you to accomplish this season, but did you kind of say, okay, there was the mountain that I was trying to, overcome and try to get back, whether I'm a starter, whether I'm in the rotation, whether I'm on the bench, I'm just in uniform, with my teammates.
Yeah, it was really hard to like get over that first game. It was definitely scary stepping on the court again. But I think once I started playing, all those mental blocks just kind of fell apart. And I was like, this is the sport that I love. And it was super fun to be able to play it again.
Take us through your next couple of years. What are you having planned as a senior? You get that question asked a ton. Where are you going to next? What are you studying here, Grace? So let's kind of go there first on your studying. What do you hope to study coming up, 12 months from now once you kind of get into college?
I want to go into exercise science and get my bachelor's and then master's in that. And then I want to go on to PT school afterwards.
So for exercise science and PT school, what just made you kind of go, okay, this is something that I want to study, moving forward and make it part of my career?
It was definitely my knee. I knew I always wanted to do something in the medical field, but after my knee, I was like, I really want to be the person that helps the athletes get back onto their field or their court or whatever it is, just to help them be the athlete that they were again.
And for you to have a chance to play at the next level, I know you're currently undecided on where that future holds, but for you to have that opportunity going through the injury to still have a chance to play at that next level, how rewarding is that from your point of view, knowing, okay, all the hard work and effort that you put in has allowed you to still continue to play the sport that you played a ton of and that you love right now?
It's very rewarding just knowing that, not let alone just playing this year, but getting to play the next 4 years, hopefully. It's a great feeling because I went through a lot with that injury. So finally getting to see that work pay off in the future is really great.
What is your best sports memory, whether it's something with volleyball, maybe it's something with family and friends that comes to mind for you here? What's your favorite sports memory to this point so far here, Grace?
Honestly, just all of the bus rides that we had, like all the team bonding that we all like and the talking that we do afterwards and all these games, like we're more than just like the team on the court, we're the team off the court too. So it's really good to see that.
Take us through some words of advice. I like to ask players in your shoes, if you could go back to your 14, 13-year-old self or someone who's an 8th grader freshman chomping at the bit that, wants an opportunity to play at the varsity level, sooner rather than later, will be some words of advice that you would have for him here?
I always put the extra work in, always stay after and get reps and just show that you want to be on that court and, just keep working on yourselves and the basic mechanics of the game.
And for Moorhead here with the construction that's going on from the old school to the new school, you're able to finish off, kind of at the old school one more time here. Do you feel like in terms of that old gym, as Amber's calling it, before you kind of, get into the new gym, do you feel a little sense of pride, knowing that you're going through your high school career and playing in that one gym and having a chance to do your best one more time on the volleyball court, playing in that particular gymnasium?
Yes, definitely. It's a fun gym to be in, but I am looking forward to the new gym as well, too.
Final thing for you before you let you go, Grace, any superstitions? Do you have to listen to certain music? Do you have to put the left shoe on before the right shoe? Have a granola bar at, half hour before you get into warmups? If you are superstitious, take us through what maybe your routine is, so to speak, before a volleyball match.
I don't think it's necessarily like left shoe or right shoe, but it's kind of hairstyles for me. Like if I do bad in a certain hairstyle, I won't wear it again in a volleyball game. Like I can't surround myself with that hairstyle anymore after.
Okay, so it's not just one particular hairstyle. It's if that doesn't go well for me or the team, you're going to try something a little bit different. Is that what you're saying then?
Yeah.
Grace, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck moving forward here throughout the rest of the season, and also as you get to graduation and on your next endeavors coming up here a few months from now.
Thank you.
Here's Trail District Health Unit Administrator Brenda Stallman with a timely health tip for the women in our lives.
October is a good time to take heed to that annual reminder of getting your mammogram. All women should be getting screened for breast cancer. Mammograms are essential. You can catch lesions that are far smaller than what you can see with the naked eye or feel with your fingers. So please take that moment to schedule your mammogram.
Contact Trail District Health Unit in Hillsborough to learn more on breast cancer prevention during this National Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Bank of North Dakota wants you to be confident when it's time to make student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident to calculate the maximum amount of student loan debt that is recommended based on your career choice. You can also learn how to apply for financial aid and get tips to cut education expenses. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident today.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one, American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
Megan Johnson from Lisbon is set to join the show, but first our own James Cardarelli had a one-on-one conversation with Alyssa Macy from Fosston Volleyball.
Your live event coaches show continues here, and I'm speaking with Alyssa Macy, the head coach of the Fosston Greyhounds volleyball team. Alyssa, first off, first-year head coach, kind of talk about how that's been, what the experience has been like thus far for you.
Yeah, it's been great. I have been blessed with an awesome team. A smaller team. We only have about. Sorry, I'll get it in a minute. Sorry, I'm at school. I'm a first grade teacher.
No problem.
What was I saying? Oh, we only have 11 on the roster right now, and it's actually great because the less girls, the less for me to have to kind of worry about too, and they're just so good together. So it's been a really great experience. I am lucky to have been the JV coach for so long here, so I knew kind of how the program worked. And, having Sarah Dryberg before me, she really did a good job of handing down all of her great ideas. And she actually coached me when I was in high school too. So I feel like I had a really good handle on how the Fosston volleyball program is run and what the expectations are, and was able to just follow up with all of that as my first year head coach.
How cool is that to kind of go from being a player in the program, then the JV coach, and now you're the head of the table, head coach of the program? How cool is that for you?
Yeah, it is super awesome. And it's kind of weird to say even now still, yeah, I'm head coach. Like it's a big deal. But yeah, I've had so many great experiences with volleyball. And like we just said, Dryberg was such an awesome coach, and she's the one, who inspired me to want to go to college and play, and then to come back to Fosston and to fill in these coaching roles. And I started, with some summer JO, and then I did a little bit of junior high, and then I got moved into that JV position, and it just feels like home all the time. And the community is so great to welcome me back, and I just have so much support in Fosston.
You're 7-2 in the section, 15-8 overall. A little bit of a rough stretch just a little bit ago. Three losses out of 4 games, but you got 4 games left on the schedule before the tournament. Are these kind of like some tune-up games to get ready for the tournament for you?
Yeah, so we started the season super strong. I mean, the girls were just clicking. Everything was going really well. We hit a middle slump. It's almost like that mid-season, just not focused, or a lot of other distractions, whether it's school or it was homecoming this last week. And it was hard to go into that Perham tournament and play the way we did. I know that the girls are very disappointed. It was just not a great showing for us. But it's funny, I actually just got an email this morning with all these different volleyball tips, and it said how failure can help you become a better coach. And I think that's true for me and for my players. It kind of really didn't hit us well. And we had a really good practice yesterday. And I think we're taking steps in the right direction now to be back to where we want to be before playoffs start here. So yes, we've got a game at Lake Park tonight. Thursday, we host a very good Sacred Heart team. So that's going to be a telltale sign of how we're going to look coming into playoffs. And then 2 more games before MEA. And then it's go time. It's anyone's game after that.
What do you want to see from your girls with these final 4 games?
I want to see some consistent, aggressive serving, which has been a goal for us all season. But when we went to this Perham tournament, there were such good teams there. And that is something that these other teams brought every game, every point, every moment. So that is, something that we practice every day. Serve receiving well. And I preach it all the time with high school volleyball. You have to be able to serve well. You have to be able to serve receive well, or else you can't set up your offense and you can't run any plays. So those will be the 2 biggest things we focus on. Another thing that has been a goal for us all season is strong start. It seemed that when we got into this slump, we'd always be behind like 6-1, 6-2, and it's hard to come back on these good teams. So I'd say those would be our 3 main goals into playoffs.
You mentioned like having a strong start in volleyball. You obviously played volleyball. How big is it to get a strong start and then have like the confidence throughout the game and then leading into games after that? So how big is confidence going into these games and then the tournament?
Just that word confidence in general. I mean, girls can lose that confidence very quickly, whether it's usually in themselves. There's so much negative talk that you have time for in volleyball because volleyball is the game of mistakes, right? Missing a serve or getting a shanked pass or having a hitting error. And it's teaching those positive self-talks and that confidence of, I can do it. I know I can do it, because that's a hard thing for girls to say. We just had this big speech yesterday about, I know as a coach, I know that you can do it. Your teammates know that you can make the plays, but for them to believe it themselves, that is where we're kind of hung up right now. And that is just a huge thing with girls sports in general. I think just knowing like, I'm going to make the play and believing that they can do it. So yeah.
Well, Coach, you've had a successful first season thus far, 4 more games left. Wishing you the best of luck going into the tournament. I'll actually be on the call for your Thief River Falls game here next week. So excited to see you in person and see what the Greyhounds have to offer in person. But thank you so much, Fosston head coach Alyssa Macy.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Live, work, and play here in Hillsboro, North Dakota. The Hillsboro Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
From the Lisbon Broncos, that is senior Kyra Haecherl. Kyra, congratulations on the win. What's it like playing in this rivalry matchup with the Enderlin Eagles? In any sport, it's always a good fan base, always a lot of energy. So what was it like out there as a player here tonight, Kyra?
It was very exciting. Our team really wanted this win tonight. Enderlin is a big rival for us, and I'm glad we just fought it out the whole time.
Talk us through a couple of your other seniors here. Your setter, first and foremost, Kaya Sweet. What does she provide? We saw back sets. We saw good sets here tonight again to allow your hitters to attack the net. What do you like about Kaya's play as a setter?
She knows where to place the ball a lot of times. She knows who's on, who's off, and she knows that she's our only setter, so she knows that she has to get out of her head really soon. And she's just great. I love her to death.
Yeah, a 5-1 set, so that means you're going to be playing the entire time. Mm-hmm. And able to see Clarissa Hoffer really have a couple really nice spikes. Obviously, at the net, you've had a good block against Central Cass on Thursday. You brought that here as well. Mm-hmm. What does Clarissa provide to this year's team?
She is very smart with where she places the ball, like deep corners, or she knows when to swing just out of this room. She's incredible as well.
And someone who's really came on a little bit too is McKenna Keller, right? She's had some really nice kills here tonight. She's put up a good block as well. So what does that provide when you get yourself, maybe you get Carissa, and now all of a sudden you get McKenna, throwing up that block, but also we had, McKenna down for 6 kills here in 3 sets.
She has like a butterfly came out of her shell this year, and she gets these good blocks, and that kind of just pumps up our whole team. and she's just always ready to go the whole time.
And now all of a sudden you got a non-region match going up against the Ellendale Cardinals upcoming Thursday. You're back in Region 1 play hosting the Kindred Vikings a week from tonight. What do you hope to take from this match to kind of close out the last couple weeks of the regular season for that Region 1 tournament, Kyra?
Our intensity, we kind of let them in a little bit at the end of our sets, but we finished, and I hope we can just finish our sets in the upcoming games.
And congratulations on heading to the University of Jamestown for volleyball. Just take us, last thing for you, Kyra, just take us through what was that process like, wanting to play at the next level and finding Jamestown as your next home a year from now when you're playing collegiate volleyball?
A year ago today, I wanted to go far, and then I was like, I want to stay home. I want to stay close to my family and friends, and Jamestown's a great program. And I can just see myself becoming even a better athlete at their level.
Kyra, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck later this week in Ellendale.
Thank you.
Kyra Haecherl with us on our post-game show. We'll hear from Megan Johnson after this. Now as head coach for the Broncos, that is Megan Johnson, as they have matches with Ellendale, also Kindred, Northern Cass, Sargent County still left on your schedule here before that Region 1 tournament, Megan. But before we talk about what's ahead, let's talk about tonight here against Enderlin. A nice Region 1 rivalry victory, as we talked about in our pregame show. What'd you like from your team here top to bottom tonight on this evening?
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of mixed it up tonight. A few different back row players, a few all-around players, and they adapted really well. So I'm glad we can mix up the rotation just to see what works, and they're easily adaptable, and we can go out and get the win.
Saw Clarissa Hoffer with a team leading in kills, able to get a block too. We've talked about her ability to block, but also get something going offensively when she can be both in the middle and the outside, and she hit some volleyballs pretty hard here tonight for kills. What does that provide for this year's team?
Yeah, it's definitely a confidence booster. I mean, Kyra Haecherl, normally our power swinger, but she's right there with her. I mean, if she can get up there and she can put the ball away, it definitely is a little safety net for everybody else, just to say, hey, if I'm not having the greatest night, I know she's there to put the ball away.
And with Haecherl, too, we kind of saw Kaya Sweet have an opportunity to go to Kyra maybe on a back set outside, but then she went to the middle to McKenna Keller, and she was able to kind of have a free swing at that one. So a lot of defensive attention, and rightfully so, to Kyra. But when you can have McKenna even coming up there and getting some, we had her down for 6 kills tonight, what does that just kind of add to this year's team?
Yeah, I mean, Kyra knows she'll be watched. If people watch our film, they obviously know she's the one that sticks out. So we try to get our middles and our right sides more active as well, just to kind of keep the attention away from her, and then we can sneak her in every now and again so she can make that big kill and put the ball away.
Yeah, and to speak about Kyra here, heading to University of Jamestown for collegiate volleyball, how cool is that to see someone, in your program moving on, whether it's, volleyball or a different sport, but moving on, to play collegiately at the next level here, Megan?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be great for her. She will do super well. Playing volleyball in college, I learned things I never knew in high school, in college. And to see where she is now and to get that college experience, I think she will do amazing things.
Nice crowd here tonight. You had Chuck a Duck a little bit. Also, you had the, your pink uniforms on. So you get to October, Megan, as a coach, there's a lot of stuff that's going on here. But overall, with the atmosphere, how did you think your team, kind of was able to minimize maybe the rival aspect a little bit, where maybe there's some more butterflies or nerves in a normal match, but a really good-looking crowd here tonight? But how did you think your team managed just the game here tonight with that kind of rivalry factor added to it?
Yeah, right away they were kind of nervous. They're like, oh, just because it's Enderlin, it's nothing different. It's just another game. We got to go out and do what we do best. Having that just kind of in the back of their mind may have weighed on them, but I told them, I'm like, just go out, do your thing. Pretend it's another team. Just go and do the best you can, and whatever happens, happens.
And then moving forward here, what do you hope to take from this match against Ellendale? You're going to see another quality club out of Region 3 against the Cardinals. Then you got the Kindred Vikings, who last checked, they were down 2-1 against YLE at home here tonight. So you got them with another large Region 1 game. But what do you hope to take from what you saw for 3 sets tonight here against Enderlin?
Yeah, definitely being versatile in the front row, having anyone be able to go up and put the ball away. I think that's going to be major for us, especially blocking. Running a 5-1, that kind of puts us at a disadvantage, only having 2 blockers up in the front row when Kaya's up there. But I mean, if we can get the blocks like we have been recently, I think we will be just fine.
Yeah, come on out too, because correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's your last regular season home game too, right? With some matches with Sargent County on the road, you got Northern Cass on the road, so be fun to send out the seniors one more time, at least in the regular season here at home, right, Megan?
Absolutely.
Megan, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck moving forward against the Cardinals upcoming on Thursday.
Thank you.
We're back after this.
That does it for this week's version of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show, as presented to you by the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. Join us every Wednesday night at 7 for the next edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show.